Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. Welcome back to the Sanderson Show. As always, please do make sure you subscribe, comment, and like to the channel. It is MMA Monday and Matchmaker Monday, and we have got some stuff to talk about. But who else to start the show with as opposed to the consensus best heavyweight in the world, the lineal heavyweight champion in the world, and that is Francis Ngannou. Look, Francis Ngannou's life one day will be made into a film, and when it is made into a film, it will be Oscar worthy, it will be American Academy worthy, it will just be worthy of every single award. Do you know why? Because his life is a movie, the good and the bad. I'm not going to bore everyone with the details of his story. You either know it, and if you do know it, you'll understand why I say that. And if you don't know it, please go and do the research because it is sensational, his story. But over the last year, his story has probably had the saddest moment so far, and that was him losing his son Kobe, his 3-year-old son, I believe he was at the time of his passing. And I'm a dad, and I don't think you need to be a dad to empathize with what Ngannou's going through. And sorry about that. And this is no disrespect to anyone who's not a dad or anything like that, but as a dad, seeing a man as strong as Ngannou, you look at fighters and you almost look at them as superheroes, and they kind of are superheroes. They get in there and they put their life on the line for the sake of our entertainment, and they get paid for it. And Ngannou is seen as the baddest man on the planet. 6'4", built like he was, carved out of stone. Rarely gets flustered or shows real emotion. To see that man break down in the cage after he won and was just crying uncontrollably, and we've seen this a couple of times. Saw this when Khabib fought his last fight. It just puts into perspective what these men and women go through. We've all unfortunately lost people close to us, and we know how it's affected us. It affects us all in different ways. Francis lost his son, which I can't even get my head around. I look at my kids and I feel so blessed to have my kids, and I couldn't imagine the thought of losing any of mine. He lost his son. That's one thing to deal with. Not just dealing with that, he's dealing with that publicly. So that's another thing. But then he's also preparing for a fight against someone who is looking to take his head off. And he navigates all of that, gets the win through all of that. Guys, we're looking and we're living through an era of an incredible human being. And I hope Francis starts to get the flowers he deserves, because I think whenever people speak about the best heavyweights of all time, you obviously mentioned Fedor, Cain Velasquez, Stipe. Two of those fighters Francis has on his resume with wins against, stoppage wins against. I think we need to start putting Francis in the conversation of best heavyweights of all time. For me, he has to be on the Mount Rushmore at least. His resume speaks for itself. PFL world heavyweight champion, UFC heavyweight world champion, went over to boxing, in my opinion, beat at the time the almost unified world champion in a boxing match, got slept by AJ. He did, as would any other heavyweight MMA fighter. He got slept by AJ, but he's come back, shaken it off, and then won another fight heavyweight. We're living through an era of Francis Ngannou, which we'll be able to tell our grandkids about, and they'll be able to tell their grandkids about. This guy, Francis Ngannou, traveled from Cameroon, stopped off in France, now resides in Las Vegas, and has achieved so much in life and will continue to achieve so much in life. But I asked the question to you guys, is he the best heavyweight in the world? And I know people straight away go, well, no, he's just fighting cans in PFL. He's only fought one PFL fight, and he fought the best person in PFL, and he made it look easy. John Jones has only fought one person at heavyweight, a person that Francis Ngannou beat with 2 bad knees. Let that sink in as well. Then you've got Tom Aspinall, literally going through the heavyweight division like a hot knife through butter. literally. And then other people are going to throw this name into the hat, which I don't think should be, but other people have, and that's Alex Pereira. The reason I don't throw his name in there, because he's not fought heavyweight. I haven't seen him at heavyweight, but people are starting to put him in that conversation because of the work he's done at light heavyweight. Either way, guys, I think we need to start looking at this and being realistic about it, and not just being UFC fans, being MMA fans here. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, you have to still say Francis is the best heavyweight in the world. We may not agree with it, may not like it, but technically he's still the best heavyweight. No one's beating him for that UFC belt, and he's now a PFL champion after smoking someone. Have to, in my opinion, say he's the best heavyweight still. But what really irks me, what really frustrates me is the fact we've just been robbed, guys. We've been robbed of not seeing those three in a fight triangle where we are never going to be able to speak the words Aspinall versus Francis Ngannou, Aspinall versus John Jones, John Jones versus Francis Ngannou. And it's a travesty. And I hate to say it, but I think the reason that we're not going to have these conversations is because of one man, well, two men. The first being John Jones and the second being Dana White. And it's a shame. It really is, because we could have been treated to some absolute blockbusters there. Aspinall Francis could maybe happen one day, but by the time it happens, is Francis still going to be in his prime? Probably not. So you're not going to get a fair reflection of the fight. You can argue John Jones isn't in his prime as well, so it wouldn't be a fair reflection with Tom Aspinall. But I mean, he's the same age as Francis pretty much. So I don't know, man. It's just very frustrating. But for me, Francis is still the best heavyweight in the world. For me, Aspinall is the second best, and then currently Jones is the third best. That's just my humble opinion. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments below. On to the next topic, and that is Paul Hughes, another uprising star. Got a fantastic win over AJ McKee at the weekend. And shout out to Paul Hughes. I had the pleasure of speaking to him when I went to the Bellator event at London. Such a cool guy, such a relaxed guy. A killer in the cage, but a real gentleman outside of it. And he gave so much time to everyone who was interviewing him, and it was nothing but pleasant and really nice. He won a fan in me that day for life. And I was over the moon for him that he got this win. I'll be honest with you, I did predict that he would lose. I didn't think he'd get outclassed. I thought he would lose a decision. He was the one doing the outclassing. AJ McKee was fighting for survival in there. He was fighting for survival. At the end of the first round, you almost stopped AJ McKee. Second round, AJ McKee had some good moments. In the third round, AJ McKee was literally just holding on to him, trying to survive. Paul Hughes stuck a pace on him, and AJ McKee couldn't handle it. And all roads lead to Paul Hughes versus Nurmagomedov for the lightweight title in Bellator/PFL. And Paul Hughes said, look, he'd love to have Conor McGregor in his corner and almost have the Island versus Dagestan part 2. Conor McGregor has since responded and said, look, he'll be in the arena, he'll be supporting Paul Hughes, but he won't be in the corner. And it was actually a really respectful quote by Conor. He basically said, look, your cornermen have got you this far, keep them there, but I'll be in the arena supporting you 100%, and I'll be there if anything kicks off. Now, hopefully nothing does kick off. Khabib will also be there as well, so security will have to be maximized. But lovely words from Conor, a lovely gesture from Paul Hughes as well. And I look forward to seeing that fight. Paul Hughes will go in as the underdog, but I look forward to seeing that fight because PFL and Bellator need fights like this. They need fights like this that are going to capture the casual fan. And these fights capture the casual fans. That card at the weekend captured some casual fans. And again, even though I don't think the card was great, the production around it was excellent. The lead up was really good. Could have done a bit more to promote it, in my opinion, but it was good. It's a good foundation to build from. So hopefully they do that, because look, as much as I love the UFC, I don't like to see an industry monopolized. If you have more places for fighters to go and get good money, you have these conversations. It gives us as content creators more to work with as well. It means I can have this conversation about who's the best heavyweight and not be able to give a concrete answer, just give my opinion, and you guys can discuss it as well. So hopefully the PFL and Bellator continue to grow and become good competition for the UFC, where fighters are able to go there and make good money as well. Back to the UFC and back to Conor McGregor, though. Him and Ilia Topuria is still going at it. And I'll be honest with you, Ilya's picking beefs with Max Holloway, who's got a fight with this coming weekend, Conor McGregor, who he doesn't have a fight with, and Islam Makhachev, who he doesn't have a fight with. Is Ilya biting off a bit more than he can chew? Is Ilya picking too many fights, and is he not focusing on Max Holloway properly? Because if you're not focusing on Max Holloway, then you're going to get beaten. Holloway is not a guy that you just ignore and you put to the back burner. It seems like he's got more to say about Conor McGregor and Islam Makhachev nowadays than he does about Max. And as a result, Conor McGregor put out a post, and I can't put out the post because there's music and there's sound. But I do want to show you this. This is now what everyone's doing and calling Topuria a McGregor wannabe. If you look at the back tattoos, they both have very, very similar back tattoos. Conor McGregor's had his longer. You look at the chest tattoo, Conor McGregor has had his a lot longer than Topuria. And then you look at how McGregor was in the press conference with him and Aldo in Ireland, and you look at how Topuria was with Volk. It's eerily similar. And you know what they say, imitation is the finest form of flattery. But I mean, Ilya's really doubled down on this and still picking a fight with Conor McGregor. And look, I understand it. Everyone saw Conor McGregor's meteoric rise, and everyone thinks, right, if Conor's making that sort of money, we want to try and make that sort of money. What they are not understanding, though, is Conor McGregor was a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. What he was doing cannot be replicated. Everything just meshed perfect. It was God that made Conor McGregor happen. All the pieces were in place. God said, here's all the pieces. And Conor McGregor said, all right, cool. I'll paint the picture then. I'll put the puzzle together. Guys, MMA fighters, stop trying to imitate Conor McGregor. Be yourselves. Be yourselves. He's got so many memorable quotes, so many memorable moments. Doesn't mean you have to copy them. Because all it does is make us as MMA fans think, oh, you're fake. It doesn't endear us to you. It just makes us go, you're not original. You're copying someone's homework. It's plagiarism. Ilya is a fantastic fighter. He's world-class at fighting. He speaks, 5 languages. Good-looking guy. Got a beautiful wife. I don't know if they've got any children or they're about to have children, but that's another thing. Got beautiful cars, a beautiful house. He could potentially, if he wins this fight big against Max Holloway, he could potentially sell out the Burnabout. And if you're a football fan, you know how big the Burnabout is. He's fought at 45 and 55 and got wins in both divisions, knockouts in both divisions since he's been in the UFC. He's got so many things going for him, it almost becomes silly that he's trying to imitate Conor McGregor. People should be trying to imitate Ilia Topuria. He's got so much going for him. Why is he trying to imitate Conor? He's better than this. Maybe he's trying to get a fight with Conor, who isn't nowadays. But the way he's going about it doesn't make sense. Topuria's got too much going for himself in a good way for him to want to imitate someone else. It just comes across as fake and it comes across as scripty. We don't like that. We don't like that as fight fans. But really and truly, Ilya should just not even be thinking about Conor, not thinking about Islam Makhachev. He should be focused on Max Holloway. Because if your attention is diverted for even a couple of % against Max Holloway, you're going to lose your belt. And you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. So we will see what happens there. And Anthony Hernandez gets a brilliant win over Michel Pereira at the weekend. I don't know if anyone saw the fight, but if you did, you'll see he put a real pace on Pereira. And Pereira gassed out really early, but I just also think it's the relentlessness of Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez can take a good punch and a good kick, as we saw in the first opening sequence of the fight. And then he just puts a pace on these guys, man. It's crazy because you look at Pereira, massive in terms of body, muscles for days and ripped and big and strong. And you look at Anthony Hernandez, he kind of looks unassuming. You're tall, but you wouldn't say he's ripped. He's not big. He's not like, he wouldn't walk into a room and everyone goes, oh, that guy. Just walked into a room and everyone would find out he's that guy. He is a real problem at middleweight because of that gas tank and that relentlessness and that will to win. And I'm really, really excited to see who fights next. And this is where we come to Matchmaker Monday, everyone. I'd love to see him fight against Delidze next. Anthony Hernandez is currently ranked number 13 behind Chimaev, which for me is crazy because Chimaev hasn't beat anyone in the middleweight division who is ranked. But that's for another day because we'll see whether he can get the win at the weekend, which will prove he's in the rankings properly. But Anthony Hernandez versus Delidze, I think, would be very, very fun. Delidze just come off a win against Kevin Holland. Obviously, the fight was stopped early because of Kevin Holland's injury. He's currently ranked number 9 in the division. They both fought recently. They both recovered pretty much recently around the same time. I don't think Anthony Hernandez took much damage in that fight. Delidze definitely didn't take any damage in his fight. 4 months time from now, Anthony Hernandez versus Delidze is a very fun fight. Both men are really good grapplers. Both men can strike as well. Both men have a really good pace that they're able to put on people. I'd really like to see that fight. Really would like to see that fight. So we'll see what happens there. But people, I'm going to wrap up there. Do you know what? Shout out to Alex George. It does feel reminiscent of this. AJ Fury, AJ Wilder. We should have got those a few years ago and we never did. It feels like that with Francis Jones and Francis Aspinall and Jones Aspinall. That's how it feels. And this is where you're right again, Alex. UFC is turning into boxing. And it is. And unfortunately it is. Dana's putting on fights that he wants to see as opposed to fights that need to happen, in my opinion. But what can you do? We are just fight fans who live in this world. But people, enough love to you all. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. On the road to 3,000, as you can see on the screen, on around 2,850. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Please do share this as well with friends and family who are into combat sports, and hopefully trying to get to 3,000 by the end of the month. If not, definitely by the end of November. But people, enough love to you all. Until I see you again, before you go, make sure you subscribe to the Sanderson Show. Take care, everyone. Enough love. Thank you for watching.